Aliens?
Aliens.
Yes. But maybe no. Welcome back to the show. Aliens, yes, but maybe no. With Josh and Travis. I'm Travis.
I'm Josh.
This is an otherworldly podcast as ambiguous as our title. So, Josh.
Yeah.
What did we talk about last week?
Crop circles.
That's right. Crop circles.
Yeah.
Where do we fall on that? Did we give a final judgment?
I believed that there are fake ones and there are real ones.
Mm-hmm.
And you can distinguish them by some of the ways they grow afterwards and flourish. And yeah, that was kind of where I fell.
I think I was more of like, it's a hoax.
Yeah, I think you were too.
Yeah.
I've always heard about crop circles, but I never really researched it. So it's kind of cool to get a top-down view.
Yeah. Okay, good. This week, probably should have started the show with paranormal, yes, but maybe no.
Potentially. Yeah.
Because it's not like a full-on aliens episode this week.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about it just because it is mentioned, but it's not the main theme.
Yeah. So some of the subjects of our discussion today do acknowledge their believed existence of aliens and that they exist, but it's not really the meat of what we're going to be talking about today, which is, some X-Men type shit.
Yeah, Professor X.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about remote viewing.
Yep.
Which, I mean, I don't even think we need to talk about it. Everyone knows. So have a good week.
What is remote viewing? Is that just like you look at your remote and then you view the guide?
Yeah, it's a little screen on your remote, so you don't have to watch the TV. You can just watch your remote.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So yeah, remote viewing, pretty crazy. We got a taste of it from our quiz that we took last time.
Yeah, and reference a very fun movie, The Men Who Stare at Goats.
Yeah, which I have yet to see. You have.
I've seen it a couple times.
Yeah, I'm very excited about watching that.
Mm.
And I'm very excited about this episode because remote viewing is batshit.
It's wild. It's a wild thing testing the limits of what people can do, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it's true, but a lot of it is subjective to that person and this sort of let's get like a rough idea. So have you heard of remote viewing anytime, like recently? Do you know much about remote viewing?
I think I saw a post about something. I didn't know really what it was. And I think I heard about it in a documentary.
Mm-hmm. So everything I know about remote viewing comes from another term called astral projection, where it happens like you can do this in your dreams, or it's something that can be reached in like a deep meditative state. And you can move your consciousness and see other things throughout the world, like visit people. And
yeah, I've seen astral projection referenced in shows like Adventure Time and Legion.
Yeah, with Dan Stevens.
It's always been very intriguing.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't really given it much thought in the real world. It's just like, oh, that's so cool. Like, it's kind of like the idea of the multiverse and stuff like that. You're like, oh, that's super cool.
Yeah.
Not realizing that it could potentially be a real thing.
Yeah.
But I guess it's real enough.
Yeah, I feel like it's wild just thinking about this kind of stuff for me.
Yeah. I'm going to kind of start this off with the history.
Yeah, let's tuck into the dossier a little bit.
Yeah. So for over 20 years, the U.S. government quietly funded a program to explore something many people still considered science fiction: the ability to gather information using only the mind. It was called remote viewing, and it wasn't just a fringe experiment. It involved physicists, military officers, intelligence agencies, and some of the most surprising claims ever made in the world of espionage. So they used it for spying.
Mm-hmm.
From locating hostages to describing top secret Soviet facilities, these so-called psychic spies were tasked with doing the impossible, and sometimes they did it. If any of this sounds familiar, you might be thinking, like you said, The Men Who Stare at Goats.
Yeah.
A book by journalist John Ronson.
Yeah, doesn't that sound made up?
Ronson.
I know he's an actual journalist. I usually do a lot of research before, not a lot, but like my own supplementary research before doing this. Before we showed up today, I didn't do anything.
Oh.
I just wanted to get lost in the rhythm, lost in the rhyme, get on up. It's podcast time.
I get it.
So anyway, John Ronson, it does sound like a made up name.
Yeah. He later turned this into a film starring handsome George Clooney.
And the handsome Ewan McGregor.
Oh.
And the handsome Jeff Bridges.
Oh my gosh.
And the handsome Stephen Lang.
Well, I probably shouldn't watch that movie with all those handsome men.
There's also some goats.
Oh, well, maybe I should.
And they get stared at. They get stared the fuck at, man.
Hopefully with consent.
Mm-hmm.
So, The Men Who Stare at Goats, this title comes from a real experiment. Soldiers at Fort Bragg were reportedly trained to try and stop a goat's heart using only their minds. As strange as it sounds, it was part of a broader effort to explore psychic abilities for warfare, alongside things like invisibility and walking through walls.
They stared at a goat for over an hour. It's just so funny.
So let's dive into the odd but true history of Project Stargate.
Okay.
The CIA's real psychic spying program, and explore what decades of research actually revealed. So, remote viewing.
Yes.
This is what came of this whole program. According to a CIA document, which is 30 pages, declassified in 2002, remote viewing is defined as an experiment in which a viewer attempts to draw or describe, or both, a target, location, photograph, object, or short video segment. So remote viewing or anomalous cognition experiments began in the 1970s.
Mm-hmm.
In a remote viewing session, a beacon or sender travels to a secret location. A remote viewer tries to describe that location using only their mind. Their description, often drawings and verbal notes, is judged against several possible sites. If the viewer's description matches the actual site, more often than chance, it's considered a hit.
So there's some things here that I just don't fundamentally understand.
Okay.
They say it's a secret location, but they're sending something there. So it's not a secret location, right? So there's information being passed to whoever is proctoring this exam or whatever you want to call it with this viewer. Like we watched this video about Hayes. Did they send a beacon to Mount Hayes for this remote viewer to view? Is that what you just read there? Am I understanding this right?
A beacon or sender travels to a secret location.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be the access point, like what they're finding.
It would be the B to like an AB line, right? If I was calling you, I would be, put this, and this is me dumbly trying to figure out what that line means. I, the remote viewer, call you, Josh Snodgrass, on a phone. You would be the beacon? Is that, am I understanding that right? But that beacon has been planted there by somebody else?
Yeah, this says a beacon or sender travels to a secret location. So, I mean, this was one of my big questions in doing our research is these people would give them a location and then they would basically astral project to that location. How can, like, if someone gave me coordinates, how would I be able to get there? Do I know all coordinates to be able to do that? I don't know.
Yeah.
But basically, they're given coordinates and nothing else. And then they're asked what is described there. And then they'll usually follow up and check to see if it's accurate or not.
Mm-hmm.
And then if it's accurate, then that's a hit. They will say that this was successful. And if someone has enough successes, and then also if others can do it as well without prior knowledge, then what is happening is real. That's how they would test it. So in the mid-1980s, the Army Research Institute asked the National Research Council, or the NRC, to review a wide range of performance-enhancing techniques. A high-level panel led by David Goslin published their findings in the 1988 report, Enhancing Human Performance.
Mm-hmm.
While they found some support for techniques like guided imagery, they found little to no evidence that things like sleep learning or remote viewing were effective.
What is sleep learning? Like where they just try to put information into your head while you're asleep?
Yeah, like playing a different language in headphones while you sleep. I think that's the sleep learning, which would be so cool.
I would love that.
It would make things so easy.
Yeah.
I'd never have to learn again.
You could learn Kung Fu. You could learn how to fly a helicopter.
Yeah. Or jump across buildings.
Yeah, or fall. I mean,
Yeah. I don't believe enough. So despite this mostly negative review, the government-sponsored remote viewing research continued. Between 1986 and early 1990s, 50 to 100 new studies were conducted, and many of them attempted to fix earlier flaws identified by the RNC.
It's wild.
Later, the CIA was asked by Congress to take over the remote viewing program, which is weird because we're seeing nowadays that there's kind of a disconnect between the military and Congress. So
not really, because I mean, Congress doesn't approve funding. And so I think that's what they were probably doing. You have like oversight committees, and there'll be certain senators that are in charge of certain aspects of, like military funding. And it's their responsibility to be like the liaison to Congress or the president.
Yeah.
And that way, you don't have one person just trying to dictate and absorb all this information. So like, I think that's broad by saying that they talked to Congress when it was probably just like one or two individuals.
Yeah, that's true. So before making the decision, the CIA commissioned an evaluation to determine, one, whether the newer research had long-term value for intelligence gathering, and two, what changes would improve the research approach. They hired the American Institute for Research, AIR, or AIR, to conduct this evaluation. And then in 1988, researchers analyzed 154 experiments conducted at SRI between 1973 and 1988, involving over 26,000 trials and 227 participants.
How do you get that many people involved in this? Is this like the back of a comic book advertisement? If you've ever astral traveled before, we're interested in you. Uncle Sam wants you.
This was mainly military personnel. So they're actually sent over to do these trainings. So most of the people that are in these programs were already in the military.
That's not what I read. I read that they had sent out broad communication. This is when they realized this stuff can't be taught, because some of the military personnel, they tried to teach this information. Like they tried to teach them astral travel, and they found if you can do it, if this does in fact exist, it's a natural talent and can't be taught.
I had the opposite. I heard that
they only tested on military people?
No, that it can be taught, and that's what they were doing. They had trainers and different things that were teaching everyone to do it.
It says that right on our dossier. You have to have a natural ability to it.
So the people with a natural ability, those were like the prodigies that were able to pinpoint and go and do crazy things, but normal people would be able to do it with training. I don't know how long the training takes. So the results were statistically extraordinary, far beyond what chance could explain, suggesting a real measurable effect. While early studies had flaws, similar results in later, more rigorously controlled experiments supported the idea that remote viewing might be genuine. A standout group of participants, Group G1, performed especially well in these later tests. So here's some of the findings from the analysis. Free response remote viewing, describing a target, was much more successful than forced choice tasks, picking from a set of options.
Right.
A small group of 6 top performers consistently outperformed others even under different conditions, suggesting their abilities were genuine and not due to flawed methods. 3, mass screening found about 1% of volunteers had consistent remote viewing ability, which much like natural talent in sports or music. 4, training didn't reliably improve remote viewing. It's easier to find talent than to teach it. 5, feedback may help motivation, but isn't clearly necessary.
Of course, telling somebody the right answer is going to influence how they're going to remote view. You're looking for a cat. Okay, I see something that has 4 legs and maybe orange. It's chasing a mouse? And they're like, oh man, nailed it.
This may not be telling them the answer before they do it.
That's what it just said.
Feedback. So feedback is usually after the fact, right? So feedback may help motivation, but isn't clearly necessary.
That doesn't make any sense. Like, you think you saw a cat, I'm going to tell you saw a cat. And then like, that's not information.
I mean, it's more like what's in this envelope, what's over in this room over there. And if you tell them like, hey, you did a really good job, they said it's good for motivation, but it isn't really necessary. So this is just government, military people documenting.
No, that's not how I interpreted that part of the dossier. And especially not the way that this was phrased, telling the subject the correct answer may help motivation, but isn't clearly necessary. So like, what is the point of even including that? Because that's like, okay, yeah, now I know you're going to ask me about a cat in the future.
I think it is laying the groundwork to say you don't need to tell them that they were correct or not in their remote viewing. Like, it can motivate them to keep going, but it's not necessary for the remote viewing to truly work.
Okay.
So that was number 5. Number 6, distance to the target doesn't affect results. And these are findings of the analysis.
Right. So like, I could be here asking to remote view something in Italy, and then I could also be in Italy ask you to remote view something in Italy, and that's not going to determine.
Yeah, basically distance isn't an issue. 7, electromagnetic shielding has no impact on performance, which is wild because, I mean, it has impact on everything else.
Sure.
8, precognition, describing a target chosen after the session, also showed success.
Why are you squinting? What's that look?
I'm just trying to comprehend that.
Okay.
Describing a target chosen after the session also showed success.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to have to think about that a little bit also.
Is that basically them doing it and then describing it after they did it instead of during?
Describing a target chosen after the session. I don't know what that means. So maybe let's just move on.
And then lastly, I mean, not lastly, there's a whole bunch of other things that they came up with. But what we have, 9, there's no evidence supporting psychokinesis, moving objects with your mind.
Yeah.
So that was in this AIR research. I mean, it sounds like they're researching every kind of psychic ability. They found walking through walls, moving things. These things could not exist. That can't happen, at least that we know of so far.
Mm-hmm.
So the conclusion of the study reads as follows.
Mm-hmm.
What is not so clear is that we have progressed very far in understanding the mechanism for anomalous cognition. Senders do not appear to be necessary at all. Feedback of the correct answer may or may not be necessary. Distance and time and space do not seem to be impotent. Beyond those conclusions, we know very little. I believe that it would be wasteful of valuable resources to continue to look for proof. No one who has examined all the data across laboratories, taken as a collective whole, has been able to suggest methodological or statistical problems to explain the ever-increasing and consistent results to date. Resources should be directed to the pertinent questions about how this ability works. I'm confident that the questions are no more elusive than any other question in science dealing with small to medium-sized effects, and that if appropriate, resources are targeted to appropriate questions, we can have the answers within the next decade. So that's what AIR concluded with. They're basically saying
it's pointless to keep this up.
It's pointless.
Yeah. There's nothing conclusive. We're throwing a lot of money into this program, and we're not really getting any definitive results.
Yeah, we could fund any science and
maybe get something a little more substantial.
Or have the same result. We could fund anything, basically.
Yeah.
So why did the government care?
Why did the government care? Yeah. Because we have been involved in a Cold War with Russia for decades at this point. We got into a Cold War right after World War II, right? And so there's a lot of information. We have spies there, spies here.
And the Cold War was basically just who's going to strike first.
Who's going to strike first? Like, we became a superpower when we dropped a bomb on Japan. That is when we became a superpower.
Yeah.
That's when the world took notice of us. Before that, we were just not a flash in the pan, but we were a very new democracy rising up. We didn't have a whole lot of...
We haven't showed our force yet.
We didn't have any. I mean, we didn't have a whole lot of force to show. We weren't like the British Empire that's got fleets and has a history of, you know, taking control of countries and...
Taking everything.
Taking everything and then claiming it as their own. We didn't quite have that history just yet. We were on our way. But we were not a superpower yet until that happened, that terrible day in world history. So after that happened, everybody took note of what we had done. And because nuclear power was still very new, Russia was trying to develop their own nuclear programs, and they were spying on us, and then we were keeping track of them. And it was like an arms race, which is what the Cold War was. Like, we were competing against each other. We viewed Russia as an enemy, just like Russia viewed us as an enemy.
Yeah.
Right? And so there's a little bit, and I find this part really funny, is that they're not really sure who let the other side know that they were involved in like paranormal research and psychokinesis. They think that Russia had heard the United States was involved, and so they started their own program. And then because of that, the US got involved in it. So that's like, it's a little convoluted. It's kind of like in the 80s, Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone were involved in this big rivalry. And it came to a head when Arnold was floated a script to Throw Mama from the Train. Mm-hmm. Or it's like Throw Mama from the Train, or Don't, I can't remember the title of it. Schwarzenegger passed on it, but they were so competitive. Stallone had heard that Schwarzenegger was involved. And so he took it. He jumped on it, and it's like one of the worst movies of that decade.
And he only took it because he wanted to compete.
It out of spite, to try to beat Arnold Schwarzenegger to the punch. And I feel like that's this situation writ large. where we had heard that the Russians were involved, but we weren't sure. So we couldn't let them get involved in psi research without us also getting involved in it. And then the Russians seemingly responded the same way. Like they thought we were getting involved, but it was that we had heard they were involved. And so it was like this. Do you know what an Ouroboros is? It's like a snake that eats its own tail.
Yeah,
now we've just created this wild situation. And then I think both programs just were like, we can't find anything conclusive about it.
Yeah. So in the 70s, a book titled Psychic Discoveries, Behind the Iron Curtain, it made waves in the intelligence community, and it claimed that the Soviet Union was investing heavily in ESP research.
People that are listening to the show now may not even know what the Soviet Union is. But it was that big block of countries that are now independent countries. They all fell under what is essentially Russian rule. So it was operated out of the Kremlin. But like, think of anything like Pakistan, Kazakhstan, Croatia, anything in the Balkans. Those were all part of the USSR.
Okay. So this book claimed that the Soviet Union was investing heavily in ESP research, including telepathy, telekinesis, and remote viewing. If there was even a chance that psychic abilities could be weaponized, the U.S. didn't want to fall behind. So they did it. But it sounds like this is kind of the same story on the Soviet Union side, too. They're like, they're doing what? Mm-hmm. And I mean, they're going to do anything they can to potentially learn secrets.
Yeah, wild time back then.
Yeah.
We didn't have the internet like we did now. So a lot of it was passed between spy networks. And so we're getting this information through like phone calls and certified mail or whatever.
Yeah. So all this book and this kind of back and forth of information, are they doing this or not? It kind of kicked off what later people called the psychic arms race, where American intelligence agencies, including the CIA, the Defense Intelligence Agency, and the Army, started pouring resources into their own investigations. If there's a way to gather intel without spies on the ground or satellites in the sky, just by using the human mind, it would be a game changer.
Okay. Yeah.
So they saw remote viewing as a potential tool for surveillance, locating hostages.
Right. And that's like the easy way out. Like, I don't have to do anything. I just have to make this guy sit in a sensory deprivation chamber and he can see a cat. Right.
Yeah. I used to take inventories for a job and I always wished that I didn't have to actually type in the numbers.
Yeah, like you could
just like, if I could just think it.
Manifest it into the iPad.
Yeah, that would be phenomenal.
Yeah.
Because I'm wasting so much time typing things.
Well, it's just so monotonous and boring.
It is. Yeah. So they saw remote viewing as a potential to predicting future threats. It was passive, non-invasive, and compared to most intelligence operations, remarkably inexpensive.
Oh, yeah, of course it is, because it's one person.
Yeah. So, of course, it was also controversial. Not everyone in the government believed it was real, but in the world where military advantage could come from the most unexpected places, they were willing to explore the edges of what might be possible.
How do you even test this? This is where it gets, like, not sci-fi, but if we have one person giving us that information, how do we know that that person is giving us verified, true information? We're putting a lot of pressure on them, and then if they get something wrong or they decide they don't want to work, that puts a lot of value on this one person.
I think it starts with simple
and then at what point
prediction tests.
Yeah, but I mean, if you find somebody with this ability, and this is kind of what a lot of comic books deal with, is we were talking about like free will and this person's ability to operate on their own. Once the government finds out that you can do this, you're no longer an agent of yourself. Now you become an agent of the government. The government's going to swoop in and they're going to do what they did, conduct a bunch of tests to see what the limits of this ability is. And then you're no longer like a free citizen. Now you are a property of the US government or the Russian government, and you're going to get locked up. They're not going to let you out.
Well, I mean, we saw that with some of the people that projected or remote viewed into places they shouldn't have, that their lives ended shortly after.
Yeah, like the presidential bathroom.
Yeah, that was a no-no.
Yeah, it was a no-no.
Yeah. Yeah, I would imagine, they start the tests with, to see if you have basic gifts.
Sure.
Where they do, what card am I holding? And then it moves into
baseline.
what's in this envelope. And then with more and more accuracy, they kind of weed the people out. And it sounds like with all the people they tested in that one that Air was testing, that they had like a top 6 that were just really good.
Mm.
And they then did bigger and bigger and bigger tests. And with enough information gathered by accuracy, they ended up just proving that it was real.
But it's so unreliable. And it's not pointless, but they tried to give people coordinates and they struggled with it. It was more like, I can remote view, I'm going to just remote view this place, and somehow they knew where it was. And then they could describe what they were seeing. But if you were like, tell me what's at these locations, they really struggled, right?
No, they were pretty accurate. They would give them coordinates and nothing else. And then they would explain what they saw. And then they would find out later that what they saw was real, that they did see the correct things. And there was that one time where they didn't see the correct thing, and then they realized that they didn't go to the coordinate exactly. They went a couple miles away.
The first finding that we talked about was free response from remote viewing, and that was much more successful than forced choice, which was picking from set options.
Yeah, that was early on in the studies, and then they redid the studies and kind of condensed it down. But yeah, having the guy find a location, he didn't find the right one, and they're like, oh, you didn't get it right. It was supposed to be my cabin. And then they find out, oh, what he did see was real. It was a couple miles that way. And it ended up being an NSA, was it Sugar Grove?
It was a frequency-free area.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like we have here in our state where we have these like dark zones where no light is allowed. You can't have street lights or house lights or flashlights or anything like that that could compromise our view of the night sky.
Oh, I didn't know
It's supposed to be like perfectly dark, no light pollution whatsoever. So this is very similar to that with
like surveillance and radio.
Radio frequency, sure.
Yeah, so this guy astral projected into an NSA like black site, basically, and read the names of documents. And what he was supposed to be projecting at or remote viewing was just a cabin in the woods, but he went a little bit further. And they said, no, you're wrong. This is not what you were supposed to see. And then they found out later, like, oh, okay, you did go somewhere and you found some stuff. And the
oopsies.
The NSA sent every agency over to this testing place because they were pissed. Like, why are you guys spying on NSA?
But how did they know that?
I don't know. I mean, maybe they reported it. I mean, the NSA is spying on us.
Well, it sounded more like the way it was told in this video was they knew it was happening, like as it was happening, and sent somebody over immediately. I don't think that's reported the way that it actually happened. I think it was more like what you were saying. They had heard about it and they're like, you got to stop whatever it is. You stop trying to look into what we're doing over here.
Yeah, it wasn't a sequence of events. It was like through a period of time.
Or they saw like an astral projection within their facility or something like that.
Huh. That'd be interesting. So with all this testing came Project Stargate. And it had a few names before, but in 1977, the Defense Intelligence Agency and U.S. Army created an official unit based out of Fort Meade, Maryland. And that's where the Project Stargate was born. The team included military personnel, civilian researchers, and trained remote viewers. They conducted hundreds of experiments and intelligence gathering missions, some of which, according to declassified reports, had surprisingly accurate results. So some of the few most well-documented examples are the giant Soviet submarine, where in 1979, Joe McMoneagle described a massive Soviet submarine under construction at a secret shipyard in northern Russia. And he gave details about its size, missile tubes, and even predicted a new channel being built to launch it.
This is like the basis for the Hunt for Red October, where they get this information about what's called a caterpillar drive, which is supposed to be this thing that propels the submarines, Russian nuclear subs, through the water without being detected by radar. And they got this information through their spy network. Maybe this one.
Yeah, there could be. And he was seeing this thing being built. It wasn't done yet.
Yeah. In Red October, it was the pictures they had. I mean, this is obviously a fictitious claim, or it's a movie based on a book, based on tertiary knowledge of Russian subs, U-boats. But yeah, that was the picture that was given in the movie was a submarine that was still being made.
Interesting.
And then as the movie kind of slowly progresses, because it's a slow burn of a movie, the sub is put into the water.
Yeah, this sounds like it. He even talked about the channel it was being built in. And then months later...
When was this?
1979.
Okay.
Months later,
good year.
Satellite imagery confirmed everything he said, including the launch timeline. So that's one example. Another one is the Semipalatinsk nuclear site. The viewer is Pat Price, and he was asked to describe a suspected nuclear facility in Kazakhstan. And he drew a detailed image of a massive gantry crane used at the site, something that wasn't publicly known. And when satellite photos eventually came in, they matched his sketches almost exactly. The site was also known as the Polygon and was the primary testing venue for the Soviet Union's nuclear weapons.
Okay.
Another one, and these are all very well documented, a hostage location in Lebanon. In 1988, a viewer was tasked with locating Marine Colonel William Higgins, who had been kidnapped in Lebanon. The viewer described the specific village and even identified the building where Higgins was being held. Later, another hostage confirmed the accuracy of that location. And then the rings of Jupiter. Here's another one. This was kind of a more experimental case. Ingo Swann was asked to remote view the planet Jupiter before NASA's Pioneer 10 spacecraft arrived. He described rings around the planet, which astronomers at the time thought didn't exist. And then weeks later, the Pioneer confirmed he was right. And then the Libyan ship prediction. In 1989, a viewer was asked to predict how Libya might respond to international pressure over chemical weapons. And the viewer named a ship Potua, or Patway.
What? What? I was waiting for you to get to the potato part.
That would transport chemicals to an eastern Libyan port. A ship called Batato arrived shortly after and did exactly that.
How do you say it?
Batato.
Potato.
Yeah, either way. But the results were inconsistent, and not everyone in the intelligence community was convinced it worked. That's the theme. Some people were convinced, some people were not. By the early 90s, oversight of the Project Stargate, had bounced between agencies with increasing skepticism about its value.
Mm-hmm.
In 1995, the CIA commissioned an official review to decide whether the program should continue, and that review concluded that the remote viewing hadn't produced enough reliable intelligence, and the program was shut down later that year.
It's a big harump there. What's that? What's that about?
Well, I'm just saying it may not have shut down, you know? People were talking about it, and since it was something that could be trained, there was prodigies, you know? I mean, I can learn music. I can learn sports. I'm not going to be good at them necessarily.
Oh, come on. Give yourself more credit.
But if basically anyone could learn the fundamentals of doing this, I don't know how long it would take to learn that. That would mean that the US would not be able to keep secrets from the public. So it seems as though that they shut it down because it worked really well, and they didn't want the testing and the knowledge of that to be sent out into the world. I've always grown up thinking that all this stuff is kind of fake. Mediums and psychic readers, that it was just fake con artists.
Yes, I 100% believe that. I mean, we saw that with Miss Cleo, right? Through the 90s, she was this famous, in air quotes, psychic.
Yeah, I called and...
Did you really?
Once with a friend, and we charged up quite a bill. We weren't on very long either. It was...
Oh, no. I mean, she made a killing off of that because like phone charges were, especially like long distance back then was... Anyway, proven to be a fraud. So yeah, we definitely grew up with that, but I was also like, and I'm speaking about myself personally, grew up reading comics and being a big fan of comic book characters. I always wanted this to be the case. And I always believed in like X-Men being the next level of human evolution. And I just not believed it. I hoped, I wished, like all kids that are dorky little nerd kids, they want like puberty to hit and suddenly you become this great cool thing. Well, it never happened. I'm still this dorky little kid in a grown man's dumb body. But I still think this is like, it's cool because there's so much about the human mind that we don't understand. And there's so much about people that we don't understand that this could very well be the case. I don't think the way it's being reported is probably accurate. And I don't think the government, especially the military, should be the ones running this test. It's like that saying, if you have a hammer, you're going to look at all of your solutions like a nail, right? And if you put it in the hands of a weapon or somebody who wants to weaponize this skill or this gift, they're going to do that.
Yeah.
Right? They're going to weaponize it in some way instead of using it to make or help make humanity better or progress through whatever evolution.
It kind of makes me think, just because you and I had similar experiences, I think a lot of people have the same thought that it's fake, it's a hoax, all this stuff, that maybe potentially this works so well and that humans are capable of this. But there was similar that we've seen with the alien community and UFOs, that there has been a lot of disinformation. And we have documentation and proof that high-ranking military officers have been purposely confusing and lying about the stuff to make people who believe crazy.
Oh, so you think that they're gaslighting everybody?
Well, what if they did a disinformation thing and they were trying to make psychics look crazy, where they put out psychics out there to make it look fake? So
you think
that
Miss
get
Cleo
caught?
was a government
It's
government
possible.
agent? I don't think so. I mean, anything's possible.
Maybe not her, but maybe there was others.
I don't think so.
You know?
I think that seems like a wild accusation. Then what's true and what isn't true?
Well, it's wild that they did it with the UFOs and aliens. I mean, the government did that and they purposely put out information, then went back, purposely got caught, then said, sorry, we were faking it. I mean, they're just creating confusion. And so if they did it with aliens, why wouldn't they do it on something else if it is real? I was talking to Jordan about this yesterday. It's like, what about like magic? Like, what if we're so disconnected and distracted from Earth that we've just lost that connection? You know, I don't truly believe in magic, that it existed, but what if it's that?
I did. When I was a kid, I strongly believed in it. And then you find out that there are manuals and you're just like, oh, this is not real. And that was a very disappointing realization as a kid. Like when you're just like, I'm not actually channeling or funneling dark arts or whatever through the earth. I'm not, with the right incantation, I can summon something or levitate or walk on the wall or whatever, turn water into gold. Like the best you can do is get sunglasses that have like a reflective paint on it. So it looks, you can kind of see who's behind you or whatever. That's like the best you can get with magic. So I just remember that being really disappointing, like that peek behind the curtain.
Maybe, like you said, we don't know much about the human brain and our body and what we can truly do.
But I'm not as cynical as you are, though, when you're saying like the government gaslit people. I don't believe that that's the case. And just saying that that is the case because it happened with aliens. And I'm not familiar with this instance where the government gaslit people about aliens other than like, one or two people saying it. I don't believe that that's the case with psychics or with anything, because if you start going down that hole, then you become a very untrusting person, and you start to like not even trust humanity any longer.
Yeah, and I'm not saying it's the case. I was just saying like a what if, like it was just a theory.
Okay.
It is possible, especially with government. I mean, if the government is running shit like this, who knows what they're doing?
Yeah. Well, this isn't the government. This is military run. And I do not trust the military.
But the government gave them funding and allocated stuff like that. So, I mean,
we talked about this, like congressional hearings that we just heard. The government doesn't know what the fuck the military is doing.
No, it's weird.
And they're like, you need to tell us this is mismanagement. This is like, you need to be telling us what's going on. And the military is just like, I don't know. Oopsies. We already spent $1 billion. Can we have another $1 billion, please?
Yeah, but we can't tell you.
We can't tell you what it's for. Trust us. It's good, though. You're going to love it. It's about Hot Pockets. We're going to try to make them not so hot.
The heat's going to be equal.
Yeah, it'll be equally distributed when you bite into it. It's not going to burn your mouth and also freeze it.
So you were talking about that it was in the wrong hands with the military. So the military, they had a quiet unit, basically a side project that wasn't talked about. So Stargate was really prominent and that got all the attention. It wasn't the U.S. military's only remote viewing effort. So around the same time, another program was quietly operating out of the Army intelligence and the security command of INSCOM, and it was known as Project 8200. So when Stargate focused heavily on research, training, and experimentation, 8200 had a much direct purpose: operational intelligence gathering. These were real missions run by trained military personnel, not civilian psychics or university researchers. So Project 8200 began in the early 1980s and remained...
1982.
Yes. Kind of lines up with their...
I know. It's the military.
8200.
Yeah.
It remained classified for many years. Its goal was to apply remote viewing techniques to actual intelligence targets, things like foreign weapons facilities, espionage threats, and missing personnel. And the viewers involved, they were military-trained operatives, not recruited psychics. In many ways, 8200 acted as a sister unit to Stargate. Both shared information and personnel over time, but 8200 kept a lower profile and operated with a more tactical mindset. The work was overseen by high-ranking officers, including Major General Albert Stubblebine.
Love it.
A major supporter of the psychic intelligence, who famously believed soldiers could walk through walls.
Yep. So, in the movie, this is not a spoiler for The Men Who Stare at Ghosts, but it starts with Stephen Lang after there's like they're like, this is documented or whatever. That bit of text that shows up in a lot of movies based on real events or whatever. It's basically that same thing with a little more depth. And then it opens up on Stephen Lang's eyes as he's just staring and he's like all sweaty. He has an assistant that's sitting in the room with him. And he said, Corporal, I'm going to go into the next room. And then he's still focused on the wall. He gets up from behind his desk, still looking at the wall, and then just runs as hard as he can and crashes into the wall. And it's so funny.
And there is video of real tests of people doing that.
I would love to see that.
That'd be great.
I'm sure that there is.
Oh, absolutely.
But I don't know that it exists anymore. I'm sure that there was. I bet a lot of that stuff got deleted or thrown in the trash.
Probably.
Maybe there's something out there. That would be hilarious to see.
That'd be so good.
It would be hilarious, but then also kind of sad.
If it was declassified and that's what we got.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of people running through
into
walls. And staring at goats.
I can get that on Instagram. I can see people running into walls. The sad part of that is that they'd either told this person that they could pass through a wall, or this person believed it so strongly and got up and tried it, and then just I bet a lot of noses were broken.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And then you get a lot of cowards that just like didn't believe hard enough.
Right at the wall.
Yeah.
Like, nope.
But if you commit to the bit, maybe it would have happened.
Yeah. Maybe no one believed enough.
They didn't believe enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is what they say about airplanes. Like that's
how they fly.
You start to believe really strong. And then when it starts to land, the pilot just believes a little less.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
See?
Science,
the mind is crazy.
Yeah.
So one of these astral projections, one of these remote viewing sessions through Project 8200 is probably one of the strangest ones and most talked about is the Mars session.
Oh my God. Okay.
It didn't involve Soviets, submarines, or nuclear sites. It wasn't, really, it's kind of weird.
It doesn't have to.
Yeah, there was from my understanding, there's no reason.
No, this was just like them doing an exercise, just like stretching or whatever. They're just testing. It's just part of like the testing.
Yeah. So a declassified CIA document, and I can link that in the show notes as well.
Yeah.
Reports that on May 22nd, 1984, a sealed envelope with a secret target was handed to remote viewer John McMoneagle, or Joe McMoneagle. McMoneagle was instructed to describe what he saw at the time and place using standard remote viewing protocol.
Okay, I'm going to jump. Actually, I'll let you finish this before I jump in because I do want to talk about this.
She just has images of the actual text and dialogue.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'm going to read that.
Okay. We can sum it up. So that's like the proctor saying the ones who sleep through the storm. So because he had described seeing something like people that were like basically emaciated and sheltered, and they were looking for a way out. And he said it was like a desolate area, basically describing the planet Mars, I guess, or just any desert. But here's the kicker. It was over 1 million years ago.
Yeah. He traversed time and space.
Yeah.
It wasn't just space.
It wasn't just space. Like not just space here down on Earth, but space in space.
Yeah.
Outer space. Which is wild. So the question I have is they said that they'd performed like thousands and thousands and thousands of tests.
Mm-hmm.
Was this in that same time frame? And if so, how many closed envelopes were put on a table and he guessed wrong and then he got this one right? And so people are just like that meme we were talking about earlier of that cool guy just very proud of himself for doing this one cool thing. And so now they're like, well, see, that proves it because he astral projected to a planet 1 million years in our past, right? Like how many tests were done before this one, before like closed envelope tests, and how many after, and how many of those were wrong? And
yeah, we don't know the accuracy.
And did this one just line up? And then that's why they're like, see, it works kind of because we did 3 tests and he passed 1. So that's like a 33% chance. That's better than an F. I mean, it's not better than F. That's an F.
I'll get to that. So he described on Mars, tall and ancient.
Well, he didn't know ancient. He just said like tall, emaciated. There was a storm happening and they were supposedly sleeping through it. And they asked, tell us more about those who sleep through the storms.
Yeah, he said basically large, thin beings. I think he said like 12 feet tall. And they're sleeping in massive pyramid-like shelters because they were experiencing an environmental catastrophe. Because their planet was dying. Dust storms were raging. The atmosphere was failing because a comet busted through the atmosphere and basically just popped the atmosphere Like the tail of a comet?
No, they said that they were living in the tail of a comet is how it was described, I believe.
Okay.
But that is just like, that's language that person used. That doesn't necessarily mean that they were actually living through a comet necessarily. It's just like, if this is true and information is being communicated to him as he's astral traveling, and he's just like a guy, who can allegedly do this thing, he's going to describe things. And we've talked about this on the show before. He's going to describe things as best as he can.
Yeah.
And so if they're communicating to him through, and this is another thing, they were speaking English.
Did he communicate with him?
Yeah, they said, tell us about the ones who sleep. And they said they were waiting for people to come back to save them.
So basically, these people were sleeping. They had a search party to be sent out to find another planet to live on. But time was running out for those left behind.
Yeah. So how was this communicated? Was this like a consciousness thing? Like brain to brain, where they're just like able to project feelings and emotion? Or was it like, I mean, then that's where it gets ridiculous, is that's not talked about. Like, okay, so they talk to him in English.
And that's what's hard about all this, is because we don't know. Like, how do they find those coordinates?
You can't verify it. It's supposedly Mars a million years ago. Like, we can't verify that exists, that civilization exists. There's no proof.
So McMonagall was then instructed by the Monitor.
Wouldn't you love Professor McMonagall up there casting?
Yeah, it's magic, man.
Oh, that's great.
McMonagall was then instructed by the Monitor to find out where the search party had traveled to. And when the session was over, Joe McGonagall, he mentioned that they came to Earth. They found Earth. And in the declassified CIA document, you can see the whole conversation that we'll have posted in the show notes. When the session was completely over, Joe finally opened the sealed envelope, and it was a 3x5 card with the following information. It said, the planet Mars, time of interest, approximately 1 million years BC.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how it works. And I think that's why they scrubbed this whole project, is because more and more people would know how this works. Like, we heard that he's basically in a chamber when these projections, these remote viewings are happening.
But if this was like 1 million BC, right, supposedly, and things are always evolving, we can't stop it, like evolution. There's no stopping it. Why do things suck so bad right now? We're driving shitty cars that are reliant on fuel that is killing our planet. They had the ability to travel from one planet to another safely.
Greed.
No, but I mean, that's 1 million plus years ago. Like, we should be at least traveling to other planets by now, if they had that ability. You think they just came here and they're just like, fucking easy life, and we don't have to do shit anymore. Look at all this vegetation. Oh shit, is that a dinosaur? Oh my God. Ah.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know the answer to that.
Why not? Josh, I'm coming to you for this information. Why don't you have this answer?
I just think that maybe they use technology that, it's like that Futurama episode when they were leaving Mars. Did you ever see that?
No, but I love that you're going to back up my sincere question with a Futurama episode.
They used the ancient Aboriginal people of Mars had a connection with the wild bungalow, which was like the cow of Mars. Like, it was their sacred animal. And they used that relationship to power an ancient spacecraft to travel to another planet because Mars was being destroyed. And maybe they had some other technology, or maybe they could tap into the 100% of their mind and be able to control something without the technology, or ancient devices that didn't use electricity, that it used mind power. I don't know. I mean, this is already showing that potentially our minds are much more powerful than we realize, which is completely plausible. I was thinking too about these mediums when you're talking about how are they communicating. Maybe some of these mediums in today's age, where they think they're talking to the deceased, maybe they're not actually talking to the deceased. Maybe they are remote viewing into and not realizing it. Maybe they think they are, but they're remote viewing into this person's mind and seeing what this person needs, because they talk about memories of that person, not memories.
Well, that's all part of what these mediums do. It's like you read a crowd.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with astral projection or anything like that. It's just like having an understanding, like you said, what a person needs, what they're looking for. So they just throw this random stuff out. And I forget, they have a term for it even. But they'll throw out this random information to a big group of people knowing it's going to land with somebody, and then they can get a little more specific. But it's usually like, I generalize, get specifics from the person in the audience. Then I use that to make another generalization that gets them more specific. So they're giving more information than you are asking of them.
Yeah. And that, I mean,
Cold read or something like that?
I think there's a lot of con artists out there,
Sure.
like big time. I mean, they've gone as far as with live shows, they've done background checks on every single person, and the so-called medium of the show already knows everything that they're going to talk about before. I mean, they've gone crazy with it, but I do believe that there are gifted people, and so does the military and the CIA, enough to spend a ridiculous amount of money funding projects for decades.
Mm-hmm.
So if there is something there, then maybe we use that to leave Mars. Maybe.
I don't know. I mean, if that technology existed and they had a search party here, that's what I'm asking. It's like, did something happen then to that search party, that party that was sent to save the species, and then that's how or why we have pyramids here or whatever, because they say that there are pyramids on Mars or whatever, but we're not really seeing that. Did they send a bunch of dummies down here that didn't know how to create whatever it is technology that they had? And so now we're just like, well, fuck.
The pyramids on Mars do look similar to a lot of the pyramids that we found on Earth before excavation, which is bizarre. And maybe, I mean, if some of the earlier people in our Earth life were influenced by storytelling and lore, and they just kind of carried on that same construction habit, it's very possible.
I mean, okay, but like we don't have any evidence of these tall beings here. All early human civilization, we're actually getting bigger now.
We are, but there's lore and myth of potential giant race.
I mean, that's like unicorns. We have stories of unicorns and manticores and dragons and things like that as well, but we don't have evidence that they existed, just like giant people. There are anecdotal evidence pointing to some giants, like Robert Ludlow, who was like 9 feet tall, tallest person ever, but it's not like a huge community of giants.
Yeah, and it's also, I mean, context is important. You know, if we were very, very small back then, a person that was 7 feet would be a giant.
Sure. What I'm saying is we don't have communities of them. Historically, there's not a group of giant people that we have like a giant person in a community, but not an entire community of giant people.
Yeah. So one last thing I want to talk about, and it's not in our dossier, is the alien bases that were found during remote viewing. I think that's a fascinating story. We watched that on the Y-Files about the remote viewing. And basically, some of these top people that we've talked about were able to remote view into a mountain in Alaska, and they all went without any information, and they all saw the same thing. And it was bases that were built into the mountain that were much higher tech than we had at the time.
That was Mount Hayes in Alaska, right? That kept coming up.
Yeah. And it was ran by human-like beings, but with bigger heads and bigger eyes. And each person kind of described, not all of them saw, because it sounds like these bases weren't occupied all the time.
This was found by Pat Price. I think that was his name.
He's the one that accidentally found this place and was killed shortly after. And he saw that beings there, but he also saw humans, military earthlings, working alongside these potential aliens. And throughout the years, they did more remote viewings with this location, which is creepy, I think. Like if humans have been working with the aliens for so long. But I mean, this is
a testable thing. We can go to Mount Hayes and like dig around in there and find out if this is true, right? This is...
Yeah, and some of the other remote viewers found other locations.
This is provable, so why
not just go look?
Why not just go look?
Yeah.
And don't say... this is like, we know where Mount Hayes is.
We know the exact point where he looked. We know the exact point.
It's very remote. So this is not something the government can hide, right? We don't have a government base keeping people from Mount Hayes, because that would throw up a lot of questions.
I mean, there's crazy... I mean, in the Grand Canyon, there is a base inside the Grand Canyon in the wall, and you can't get near it at all. People have tried flying drones towards it, and the drones air out and return home. So it's cut off from everything. If I was walking through and I tried to go there, you can't even get close enough to get there. There's just probably no way of getting there.
Okay, well, I mean, just our little bit of research, nobody had gone to try to check out this place in
there's
Alaska.
Blackout zones on like Google Maps and stuff like that. I'm sure this isn't blacked out because there's nothing to see. It's inside the mountain. They found other ones, some underwater, some in other mountains around the world.
Yeah. Which raises a question like how, if it's underwater, and I know there's a way to turn like water into oxygen, but if we have people down there, how are they breathing?
They didn't talk about those ones being manned by humans.
But I mean, from what we understand from just basic physiology, you need to have oxygen to live on this planet.
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe they don't breathe. I mean, this is again a very fundamental understanding of how we work here. That doesn't mean that that's how they work on another planet. Right?
Yeah.
Maybe they don't need it. Maybe they can get everything they need from absorbing it through their skin, kind of like a frog.
Maybe. And so basically there's all these different locations of these extraterrestrial bases, which these people didn't really call them extraterrestrial. They were just doing their job. They were told to observe something and they came back, and we've kind of concluded with the beings and the different technology there that it is extraterrestrial, that they are spread around the whole world and they're all connected. And it seems as though they're harvesting or gathering something and sending it off, because another remote viewer was able to view where they were sending it or what was receiving whatever they were collecting. And he described that as an unmanned vessel, fully automated. It just makes me wonder what they're collecting. And in one of the guy's statements, he had a conversation. So this is another thing, like, how are they able to communicate? He had a conversation with an alien saying, what do you think about humans? And they said, not much.
Not much.
Not
but
much.
Again, like, how was this communicated? Was
Yeah,
it done
I don't know.
in English? Like, it's just so wild. And then I guess if this group of extraterrestrials had decided to take up residence here, maybe they learn the language, but like, we don't communicate with dolphins, or if they look at us like animals, we don't communicate with birds in that way.
Well, so that's what he meant is by saying not much, is that there's some aliens that are on Earth are interested, like scientifically, in humans, but most of them view us as animals, as a flock of birds or fish in the sea. You know, we're more intelligent, but that just definitely made me think, you know, they're here just letting us do our thing. They're here for the Earth. They don't really care about us that much. They don't want us to hurt the Earth, but they don't care if we hurt each other.
But that's what we're doing right now. I mean,
we're doing all of it.
Yeah, we're doing everything. All of the bad hurt things. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that was interesting, especially sticking to the aliens theme of our show.
I mean, I guess it would be the same if a dolphin asked us, like, what do you think of dolphins? We'd be like, I don't know, man. Like, I heard you guys fuck a lot.
Yeah, not much.
Yeah, I can't go in the water when you guys are all hot and bothered because that turns out bad.
Yeah, and I heard that AI is working on learning animal language.
That'd be cool.
That would be cool. If these aliens have higher tech, or maybe they communicate in the same way that the people using the remote viewing are able to communicate. Maybe they can tap into that. I don't know. But overall, in conclusion, for more than 2 decades, the U.S. government poured time, money, and classified resources into exploring a question that still divides people today. Can the human mind access information beyond space and time?
Are you asking me?
No.
I'm telling you. Asking? You asked the question.
I'm telling you that is the question that is dividing people.
But you're not asking me that
question. I'm not asking you.
Okay.
I already know you believe. Project Stargate may have ended in 1995, but the question
you just threw that in there.
It raised never really went away. So where I stand on this, on the yes, no, maybe, is yes. I think that our minds are capable of this. I think that the military knew. I mean, I've kind of just sprinkled my thoughts throughout all of this. I think the military knew that this worked. I think they shut it down because it worked so well that they didn't want it to get out. And I think it is potentially going to be a lost art, except for these black site operations where they're able to still utilize that today in the world. That's what I think.
Okay, so under the parameters of our show, where it's yes, no, maybe, aliens, no, because we're not talking about aliens here. So as far as that goes, no, this doesn't push the needle for me into believing whether or not aliens do exist.
Yes.
But I will echo what you had said. Like, I think that there's a lot that humans are capable of. I am a humanist to the bone, and I want to believe that there are incredible things that we can do. And I know that there's incredible things that we can do. I mean, that's the...
Just look at adrenaline.
Well, what is so fascinating about the Olympics, right?
Yeah.
Like, we're watching incredible human beings do incredible things.
And getting better every year.
And getting better and faster every year, yeah. So there are things that the human body and human mind can do, and it's not fully tapped.
Yeah, everything is not fully tapped.
Right.
Because there's not funding for it.
So, yes, maybe no. Do I believe in humans? 100% yes.
You believe humans are real?
I believe humans are real, yes. I know that's a hot take.
Well,
but I do believe humans are real, and I believe in them. I believe in us. I believe in us humans. Come on, humans. Just be better.
yeah, humans are what divide us.
Yeah, we're all getting in our own way. But come on, let's be better. Be better humans.
So I want to invite you all to click on the links that we're providing, some of the documents and some of the released CIA stuff. Do your own research. There's a whole bunch of more information on this.
Yeah.
And let us know what you think. Spread the word. Tell people about us. You can get a hold of us with fan mail. Pretty easy. Click the fan mail link in the show notes and you can just message us right from your phone and we will get it on our phone, just like a text. I think that's it. There's nothing more for this show.
Is it over? Is this the end? Series?
Yeah, we have nothing more.
Series finale?
No, we have a quiz.
Oh, we do have a quiz, don't we?
Yeah, we have a quiz. I don't know. So we're going to do a quiz on the next week's topic. I don't know what it is. We haven't looked.
As we do.
Okay. The baseline quiz
I know.
is the Flatwoods Monster. I have no idea what this is. Are we getting into cryptids?
I hope so. I love a good cryptid tale.
Okay.
And some cryptids have tails.
I don't know.
Huh?
Locky?
Yeah, good old Locky.
Okay, so I don't know anything about this. Never heard it. Flatwoods Monster. We have a handful of questions, and we'll try to figure out what's going on as we answer these. But this is what we're going to talk about next week.
Yeah.
So in what state did the reported sighting of the Flatwoods Monster take place? Is it A, Oklahoma, B, Montana, C, West Virginia, or D, Oregon?
This sounds like a fucking West Virginia.
I was totally going to say that.
This sounds like a fucking West Virginia thing.
I know. I think there's one of those like triangles, like the Alaskan Triangle, Bermuda Triangle. I think there's one in that area.
Okay.
So I'm going to say West Virginia.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. In what year was the monster reportedly seen? This is a cryptid, man. Okay, A, 1936, B, 1952, C, 1978, or D, 2003?
I'm going to say 1936.
I'm going to say 52.
That was my runner-up choice.
Okay.
But I'm going 36. It just, I don't know. There's something about the way this is starting to take frame in my head is that it's just like a monster that like plays music on a milk jug and a washboard.
I'm curious to see what it looks like.
Yeah.
Okay, so next question. Who initially came upon the Flatwoods Monster? A, a troop of Boy Scouts on a camping trip. B, a church youth group and pastor. C, a softball team coming home from the game. Or D, a mother with a group of local kids.
I've read that really quick and I thought it said a monster with a group of local kids. And I was like,
another monster.
That's it. Like,
yeah.
Real recognize real. Monster's going to recognize another monster. Go ahead, Josh. You answer yours first and I'll tell you mine because I went first last time.
I'm going to say a softball team coming home from a game.
Okay.
I don't know why. That just rings a bell.
I'm going to say an intrepid troop of Boy Scouts on a camping trip. Those guys are always up to something.
They are. What's going on over there?
What's going on with those scouts?
Yeah. Why doing stuff all the time? Okay. So next question. How is the monster described? A, 10 feet tall with glowing eyes and a spade-shaped head. B, 7 feet long with matted fur and 6 legs.
Oh my God.
C, 3 feet tall with a scrunched up face and long arms. Or D, 8 feet tall with scaly skin and large orange wings.
I'm going to say just having you read those descriptions, they're all very upsetting. Picturing those, if seeing this out in the woods.
None of those should exist.
No. And I probably wouldn't either after having seen them. I would die of a heart attack.
Poop your entire insides out?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, my insides would be an Audi.
Yep. What do you think?
I'm going to say...
I don't like the 6 legs thing.
I don't like anything with more legs than it should have.
Yeah.
And like matted fur sounds awful. Like, what's matting your fur? Is it blood? Sweat?
Orange wings?
Also, I don't like anything that flies. I hear spiders are evolving to fly.
I've heard that too. I don't like
Hate it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say the cutest one, the 3 foot tall with a scrunched up face and long arms. Even though the long arms are really upsetting, I'm picturing like a tall Furby that is able to reach me across the room. I don't like that, but I feel like I can swat some arms away better than I can something that has 6 legs.
A SWAT fight?
Just like, get away from me.
Each other a bunch?
No, I'm just slapping. Yeah. Or just slapping me. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. I am going to say A, 10 feet tall with glowing eyes and spade-shaped head. I don't like the spade shape either. It's gross.
No.
Ugh.
Like a shovel.
Yeah. Okay, next one. What accompanied the sighting of the Flatwoods monster? A. High-pitched ringing in the ears. B. Nauseating, pungent mist. C. Telepathic message of peace. Or D. A sudden massive thunderstorm. Jeez.
I mean, I think we talked about telepathic message of peace. I don't know if it was on the Betty and Barney Hill.
That was the aerial school.
Okay, I knew that one of them had that. I'm not going to associate that with this tiny little monster. I'm going to say nauseating, pungent mist.
I am too, because in the cryptids I've learned about
how terrible they smell.
Yeah, that is a pretty common theme.
Okay.
Last question. What did the Air Force suggest the creature was?
Oh, shit.
Okay. So the military is involved.
Military is involved, but like this is going to throw out your descriptions.
Oh, geez.
Because none of these line up with what you said.
Okay, so A, a mountain lion. B, a prank by teenagers. C, a wild hen. Or
Which
D,
is a bird.
Yeah. Or D, an owl.
Which is also a bird, a little bird.
Yeah.
I'm going to say an owl because that kind of lines up. Because owls have a pretty large wingspan.
Yeah, they do. Long arms. They can be 3 feet.
And
they have a scrunched up face.
They have a scrunched up face.
It's flat face.
Yeah.
Ah, man. I'm going to say mountain lion.
Okay.
All right. We're going to submit these answers. View accuracy.
Okay.
West Virginia.
Right out of the gate, West Virginia.
Yeah. In what state did a reported sighting of the Fleetwood take place? West Virginia. In what year was the monster reportedly seen?
Here we go. Classic Travis. This is where it goes downhill for me.
It was 1952.
Yeah, I said,
you said 36.
Yeah.
Who initially came upon the Flatwood monsters? I said a softball team. And you said the Boy Scouts.
I said a Boy Scout.
It was a mother with a group of local kids.
I should have stuck to my gut when I thought it was monster.
Yeah.
Oh, Josh, here we go. You were right.
How is the monster described? 10 feet tall with glowing eyes and a spade-shaped head.
Got that one wrong. Yeah, boy. Classic Travis. I said 3 feet tall with a scrunched up face. Yeah, long arms.
So the next one, what accompanied the sighting of the Flatwoods monster? I said a nauseating pungent mist. You said
nauseating pungent mist.
And that is correct, because that seems like they're just all that way. All the cryptids. And then lastly, what did the Air Force suggest the creature was? I said a mountain lion.
I said an owl.
You said an owl.
Lining up with my previous description, little guy.
Yeah.
Which is wrong. How many owls do you know that are 10 feet tall?
Because that's the correct answer.
Yes.
The Air Force said an owl.
How do you pass off an owl as being a 10-foot tall monster, which is what was reported?
I have no idea. I am very interested
I guess
in this.
if it's in a tree.
Yeah. A shadow.
Maybe the sun was setting and the light bounced off the owl's eyes and it said, hoo-hoo. And that scared the shit out of them. And they looked up.
And they do kind of have a spade.
Yeah. It depends on the owl, but I wouldn't say spade. Like a Batman shaped head is an owl.
So I guess we're veering off aliens again a little bit.
That's fine.
But yeah, cryptids. So next episode will be a cryptid. I'm pretty excited about that. I wasn't expecting to do a cryptid, but hey, I'm all game.
Yeah, this is fun. I like cryptids. I think they're a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, thank you for listening. I hope you listen to the next episode. It'll be a good one.
Yeah, who do we thank?
And we want to thank our researcher.
There we go.
Jordan. Wouldn't be able to do this without her.
Our everything.
She picks the episodes. She writes the quizzes. She gives us all of our notes.
She did the music. She's a ventriloquist. She's actually doing all of the talking for us right now.
Yeah. Tells us what to research.
Yep.
So, yeah, big shout out to her. We wouldn't be able to do this without her.
Yeah. Living in her house.
Yeah. Eating her food.
Breathing her air.
Raising her children.
Peeing in her potty.
Well, thank you for listening, and we'll catch you next time.
Okay, bye.
Bye.